Imagine this. You're the shimmering star in someone's universe, constantly lighting up their world. Yet, over time, your brilliance becomes part of their everyday backdrop. What once captivated their attention fades into routine, not because you've lost your glow, but because they've grown too accustomed to your light. What if you could reverse this dynamic? What if, instead of chasing their attention, you became the thought they couldn't escape, the presence they longed for when you're not there? This isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your power and showing the world and yourself your worth. Inspired by Stoicism, this guide will help you harness the psychological principles that make your absence as impactful as your presence. Stay with me, because every one of these 12 strategies builds on the last. By the time we're done, you'll hold the keys to becoming not just unforgettable, but indispensable. And trust me, the most powerful revelations lie at the end. Let's dive into the first secret: how silence can speak louder than words. 1. The power of silence. We often think that constant communication is the key to staying on someone's mind. Yet Stoicism teaches us that restraint, even in the face of impulse, often holds the greater power. Have you ever considered the strength of saying nothing at all? Imagine this: you're in the middle of a conversation and suddenly the words stop. Silence fills the space. What happens? Your mind races to fill the void. Did I say something wrong? What's going on? That moment of silence, intentional and deliberate, carries more weight than anything spoken. Silence is not absence, it's presence amplified. When you're constantly available, you risk becoming background noise. But when you step back, you create a gap, a vacuum that others can't help but notice. As Epictetus reminds us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Silence, used wisely, is a tool for creating anticipation, reflection, and even longing. Well, think about the last time someone important to you went quiet. Did you check your phone more often? Replay your last conversation in your mind? That pause forces us to reflect on what's missing, and suddenly the absence of words becomes louder than the words themselves. How can you use this in your life? It's not about ghosting or ignoring someone. That's neither thoughtful nor respectful. Instead, it's about strategic silence. If you're usually the one to text first, stop. Let them reach out to you. If you're always quick to reply, slow down. Let your responses carry weight by not being immediate. This doesn't mean neglecting people. It means respecting your own time and energy. By holding back, you shift the dynamic. Instead of chasing, you're being chased. Instead of over-explaining, you're letting your silence invite curiosity. But here's the challenge. Silence requires patience and confidence. It requires trusting that the space you create will be filled by their thoughts of you. And what if they don't notice your silence? Then ask yourself, is this someone whose attention is worth pursuing? Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our responses, our boundaries. We cannot force others to value us, but we can control how we present our value to the world. Remember, the power of silence lies not in the absence of sound, but in the presence of meaning. As Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And sometimes to remain silent is the bravest thing you can do. Stay tuned, because next we'll explore the art of rare presence, how being less available can make you unforgettable. 2. The art of rare presence. Have you ever stopped to admire the moon? Its beauty is undeniable, but what makes it truly captivating is its rarity. It isn't always in full view. Sometimes it's just a sliver in the sky, and other times it disappears altogether. And yet, when it shines brightly, we pause, we look, we marvel. Now consider the sun. It's constant, reliable, always there. Essential, yes, but how often do you stop and appreciate its light? Its predictability, while comforting, makes it easy to overlook. This is the essence of rare presence. In our relationships, when we're always available, we risk becoming like the sun, important but often taken for granted. The Stoics teach us to value what is scarce, what is rare, and to be deliberate in how we engage with the world. Marcus Aurelius himself reminded us, what we do now echoes in eternity. Your presence should echo, not blend into the background. Imagine this: you've been consistently texting someone, always initiating, always available. Then one day you decide to step back. You don't reach out first, you wait. What happens? At first they might not notice, but as the minutes turn into hours, then days, a little voice begins to whisper in their mind. Where did they go? Why haven't they texted me? This isn't about manipulation, it's about balance. Being always available sends a subtle message that your time and attention are easily given. Pulling back shows self-respect and confidence, two traits that naturally draw others in. The psychology behind this is simple. Humans value what is scarce. Think about it. Limited edition sneakers, exclusive invitations, rare collectibles. These things are desired not just for their quality, but for their rarity. The same applies to your presence. By being deliberate in how often you engage, you make every interaction more meaningful. But here's the trick. You must balance rarity with impact. If you disappear entirely, you risk being forgotten. Instead, show up in ways that remind them of your value. Perhaps you send a thoughtful message after a few days or share a funny meme at the perfect moment. These small gestures are like the moon's glow, unexpected, beautiful, and memorable. Ask yourself, how can you cultivate this art of rare presence in your life? Maybe it's by spacing out your texts or by being the one who ends a conversation on a high note. Perhaps it's about limiting how often you're available for plans. These little adjustments can transform how others perceive you. And as you do this, remember, your worth doesn't come from how often you're seen, but from how deeply you're felt when you're gone. Absence, when used wisely, truly makes the heart grow fonder. If this resonates with you, I invite you to pause and reflect. Have you ever felt taken for granted because you were always there? How could stepping back allow others to see your value more clearly? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're finding this journey of self-discovery and Stoicism meaningful, give this video a thumbs up to let me know. Your support is the moonlight that keeps this channel shining bright. Let's move forward to the next powerful idea. The transformative potential of strategic disappearance. You won't want to miss this one. 3. Strategic disappearance. Picture this. You're always present, always reachable. Every message is answered within moments. Every invitation is accepted without hesitation. At first, this feels good, like you're dependable, someone others can rely on. But over time, something changes. Your constant presence becomes expected, routine, even unnoticed. The more you give, the less others seem to notice what you bring to their lives. This is where the art of strategic disappearance comes in. It's not about vanishing entirely or playing games. It's about intentionally stepping back to let others feel the weight of your absence, to remind them of what they may have started taking for granted. Why is this so powerful? As Mark Twain once said, "The absence of one who is loved is more terrible than death." When someone you care about is suddenly less present, it creates a sense of longing, a vacuum that their mind seeks to fill. They begin to notice the quiet moments where your voice used to be, the spaces in their day where your energy used to shine. Think about a favorite song. When you hear it too often, it can lose its magic. But when it's absent from your playlist for a while, hearing it again feels like rediscovering a treasure. You want to play it on repeat, savoring every note. Your presence works the same way. When you're always there, your value can fade into the background. When you step back, you become a rare and cherished melody. How do you apply this? Begin by recognizing patterns in your interactions. If you're always the one initiating, pause. Allow the other person to take the lead. If you've been consistently available, let yourself become a little less predictable. Skip a usual text, say no to a plan, or take a day to yourself without explanation. But here's the key. Balance is everything. If you disappear too often or for too long, you risk alienating the other person. The goal isn't to make them feel abandoned, but to give them a moment to reflect on what your presence means in their life. Like a shadow that dances with the light, your absence should enhance, not overshadow, your connection. This approach requires patience and trust in yourself. You might wonder, what if they don't notice? What if they don't reach out? These fears are natural, but Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, not their reactions. If someone doesn't notice your absence, perhaps they're not the right person to value your presence. Strategic disappearance also gives you the chance to recharge. Constantly giving your time and energy can be draining. By stepping back, you not only remind others of your value but also reaffirm it to yourself. You're saying, my time is precious and I choose how to share it. When you reappear, do so with intention. Be warm, engaging, and thoughtful. Let your return feel like the moon emerging from behind the clouds, anticipated and appreciated. Over time, you'll find that this rhythm of presence and absence strengthens your relationships. Others will begin to notice not just when you're there, but also how much they miss you when you're not. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca advised, absence makes the heart grow fonder, but let it not grow cold. Strategic disappearance isn't about withholding. It's about creating space for appreciation. And when done well, it transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Next, we'll explore the subtle art of the waiting game, a practice that builds anticipation and amplifies your presence without saying a word. Stay tuned. 4. The waiting game. Patience is not just a virtue, it's a strategy. How often do we find ourselves rushing to respond to a message, eager to prove our interest or commitment? Yet Stoicism teaches us the value of restraint, of allowing things to unfold naturally. The waiting game isn't about manipulation, it's about respecting your own time and creating an air of intrigue that draws others in. Imagine this: you receive a text from someone you care about. Instead of replying instantly, you pause. Not because you're ignoring them, but because you're focused on other aspects of your life. When you finally respond, your reply carries more weight. It's clear that your world doesn't revolve around them, and this simple act shifts the dynamic. Why does this work? The human mind thrives on anticipation. When something is immediate and predictable, it loses its spark. But when there's a delay, even a small one, curiosity takes hold. What's keeping them busy? Why haven't they replied yet? This subtle uncertainty keeps you on their mind far more than a quick response ever could. The waiting game also creates space for balance in the relationship. If you're always the one who responds within seconds, it sets an expectation. The other person becomes accustomed to your availability, and over time they may stop appreciating it. By introducing a pause, you remind them that your attention is not guaranteed, it's earned. This principle mirrors the Stoic idea of detachment. We are encouraged to act deliberately, not react impulsively. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In relationships, delay can also be the greatest remedy for complacency. But let's address a common concern. What if waiting too long makes them think I'm disinterested? The answer lies in balance. The waiting game isn't about ignoring or neglecting someone. It's about pacing your responses in a way that shows confidence and self-respect. A few hours or even a day is enough to create curiosity without crossing into indifference. Think of it as planting a seed. When you plant it, you don't dig it up every few minutes to check if it's growing. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust the process. Relationships work the same way. By allowing moments of pause, you give others the chance to reflect on their feelings, to miss your presence, and to appreciate your replies when they come. There's also a practical benefit to waiting. It gives you time to craft a thoughtful response. Instead of sending the first thing that comes to mind, you can consider your words carefully. This ensures your communication is meaningful and intentional, reinforcing the value of your connection. Playing the waiting game also benefits you. It frees up your energy to focus on what matters most, your own growth, goals, and priorities. When you're not glued to your phone, you're living your life fully. And this confidence, this self-assuredness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who value their own time and presence. Patience, as the Stoics remind us, is a form of strength. When you master the waiting game, you're not just teaching others to value you, you're teaching yourself. You're affirming that your attention is precious, that your world is vibrant and full, and that you don't need to rush to prove your worth. In the end, the waiting game is a practice in restraint and self-control. It's about letting your actions speak for themselves, trusting that your value will be recognized not through urgency but through balance. As Benjamin Franklin wisely said, He that can have patience can have what he will. Next, we'll explore the art of emotional anchoring, how to leave a lasting impression that keeps you in their thoughts, even when you're not around. Prepare to dive deeper into the power of connection. 5. Emotional anchoring. Think about the moments in your life that have stayed with you, not the mundane ones, but the ones that stirred something deep inside. Maybe it was the first time someone gave you a heartfelt compliment, a shared laugh over an inside joke, or the comfort of a kind word during a difficult time. These moments are etched into your memory, tied to the people who created them. This is the power of emotional anchoring. Emotional anchoring is about leaving a lasting mark on someone's thoughts and feelings. It's the art of associating your presence with positive, memorable experiences that they can't help but revisit. As Maya Angelou famously said, "People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." Now, imagine creating this kind of impact intentionally. Think of the small, meaningful things you can do that linger in someone's mind long after you've gone. A compliment that feels uniquely personal. A shared experience that becomes a private memory between the two of you. A thoughtful gesture that shows you truly see and value them. This isn't about grand, dramatic actions. Often it's the simplest things that leave the strongest impressions. For example, recommending a song that matches their mood, sharing a favorite quote, or being the person who listens without judgment. These small moments become emotional anchors, tying their feelings of warmth and connection to you. Have you ever walked past a place where you shared a meaningful moment with someone and felt a wave of nostalgia? That's emotional anchoring in action. It's why a particular coffee shop, a specific scent, or a favorite movie can bring someone to mind instantly. By creating these anchors, you ensure that your presence isn't just remembered, it's felt. The beauty of this principle lies in its subtlety. You're not forcing yourself into their thoughts. You're embedding yourself naturally through shared experiences and emotions. And the best part, these anchors grow stronger over time. Every time they revisit that memory, the connection deepens. So how do you create these moments? Start by being present. Pay attention to what makes them smile, what interests them, and what makes them feel seen. When you notice something that resonates with them, build on it. If they love a certain kind of music, introduce them to a new song or artist. If they mention a dream or goal, encourage them or offer support. These small acts show that you care in a way that's authentic and meaningful. But remember, emotional anchoring isn't just about making someone miss you, it's about building a genuine connection. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's within our control, and our ability to bring value and meaning to others is one of our greatest powers. Now it's your turn to reflect. What small but powerful moments have shaped your connections with others? How can you create these experiences intentionally? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. And if this resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up to let me know you're finding these insights valuable. Your engagement fuels the creation of meaningful content, just as emotional anchors fuel deeper connections. Next, we'll explore the contrast principle, how showing different sides of yourself can captivate their attention and make your presence even more magnetic. Don't go anywhere, the best is yet to come. 6. The contrast principle. Imagine tasting a dish so extraordinary that it lingers in your memory long after the meal is over. What makes it unforgettable isn't just the flavors themselves, but the contrast between them, the harmony of sweet and savory, soft and crisp, delicate and bold. The contrast enhances each element, making the experience vivid and impactful. Now apply this principle to yourself. When people see only one side of you, they think they've got you figured out. Predictability can be comforting, but it rarely leaves a lasting impression. Contrast, however, captivates attention. By revealing different dimensions of your personality, your humor and depth, your spontaneity and discipline, you keep others intrigued. Think about someone who always wears casual clothes, then suddenly appears at a formal event looking polished and elegant. The contrast is striking, even mesmerizing, because it challenges your assumptions about them. This is the power of the contrast principle. It keeps people curious and engaged. How do you apply this in your life? Start by breaking patterns. If you're always the one who listens, share your own stories. If you're typically reserved, show your playful side. These shifts don't need to be dramatic. They're about surprising others in ways that feel natural and authentic. The Stoics understood the power of perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." By consciously introducing contrast, you control the colors you present to the world, creating a vibrant, multifaceted image of yourself. But remember, this isn't about being inconsistent or insincere. It's about revealing the layers of who you truly are, piece by piece, like a story unfolding over time. Each layer adds depth, making your presence more engaging and your absence more keenly felt. When you embrace the contrast principle, you transform yourself from a routine presence into a dynamic force. People begin to anticipate what you'll reveal next, and this anticipation ensures that you stay on their minds long after you're gone. Now that you understand the power of contrast, let's move to the emotional roller coaster, an approach that deepens connections by creating highs and lows that resonate long after the moment passes. 7. The power of unpredictability. Predictability, while comforting, rarely inspires excitement or intrigue. Think about watching the same movie over and over. Even if it's your favorite, eventually you'll know every line, every twist, and it loses its magic. Unpredictability, however, keeps us on our toes. It introduces novelty and sparks curiosity, making even the most ordinary interactions feel fresh and exciting. In relationships, being predictable can lead to complacency. If you always act in the same way, texting at the same time, responding immediately, or always saying yes to plans, you risk becoming part of the routine. But when you introduce an element of surprise, you disrupt expectations in a way that leaves a lasting impression. Consider this scenario. Every morning you send a good morning text. It's sweet, but it's expected. Then one day you don't send it. At first, the absence feels small, but as the day goes on, it grows louder in their mind. Where is that message? Why haven't they sent it? Suddenly, something they took for granted is missed, all because you broke the pattern. Unpredictability works because it makes people pay attention. When someone can't predict your next move, they're more engaged. They start to wonder what you're thinking, what you'll do next, and this curiosity keeps you in their thoughts. But how do you apply this without being erratic or confusing? The key is balance. It's not about being inconsistent, it's about introducing small, thoughtful changes that surprise and delight. If you always respond to text right away, try waiting a little longer sometimes. If you're usually serious, crack an unexpected joke. If you're always the one to initiate plans, step back and let them take the lead. Unpredictability is also a form of self-respect. It shows that you're not operating on autopilot, that your actions are deliberate and intentional. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By being unpredictable, you take control of how you engage with others, keeping the connection lively and dynamic. This principle extends beyond communication. Think about how you present yourself. If you're always casual, dress up for an occasion and surprise them with a different side of you. If you're known for being the life of the party, take a quieter, reflective approach once in a while. These shifts don't just catch their attention, they make them see you in new and exciting ways. The beauty of unpredictability lies in its subtlety. It's not about grand gestures or drastic changes. It's about keeping things interesting by being a little less predictable, a little more dynamic. Over time, this creates an emotional richness that deepens the connection and ensures that you're not just part of their routine, you're the most exciting part of their day. As you embrace unpredictability, you'll find that people not only notice you, they anticipate you. They'll look forward to your next move, your next word, your next gesture, because they know it won't be what they expect. And in that anticipation, they'll begin to miss you before you've even left. 8. Create a sense of mystery. Imagine reading a book so compelling that you can't put it down. Every page reveals something new, yet leaves just enough unanswered to keep you turning to the next chapter. Now, imagine being that book in someone's life, a story so intriguing that they can't help but wonder what comes next. Creating a sense of mystery isn't about withholding who you are. It's about revealing yourself thoughtfully and deliberately. Think about the moments when someone has surprised you with a hidden talent or an unexpected interest. Didn't it make them more captivating? Mystery sparks curiosity, and curiosity keeps people engaged. When we reveal everything about ourselves too quickly, we risk becoming predictable. There's no suspense, no discovery. But when we share in layers, we invite others to uncover the depth of who we are, bit by bit. As Walt Whitman said, "I am large, I contain multitudes." Let people explore those multitudes gradually. How can you cultivate this mystery? Start with subtle hints. If you're passionate about a hobby, let it surface naturally. For example, mention that you play an instrument, but don't elaborate. Let them notice a guitar pick in your car or catch you humming a tune later on. Each clue draws them in, making them curious about what else there is to learn. Mystery also thrives in how you handle conversations. If someone asks about your day, don't rush to give every detail. Instead, share one intriguing moment and leave the rest unsaid. This isn't about being evasive, it's about giving them something to think about, a reason to ask more questions, to want to know more. The Stoics believed in restraint and control, even in how we present ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." By carefully choosing what you reveal and when, you show others the depth of your character while maintaining an air of intrigue. It's also important to let your actions speak for themselves. For example, if you're working toward a goal, don't announce every step along the way. Instead, let them notice your progress organically. This not only adds to your mystique but also demonstrates confidence and self-assurance, qualities that naturally draw others in. Creating a sense of mystery isn't about being secretive or playing games. It's about inviting others to see you as someone worth discovering. It's about understanding that not everything needs to be said immediately. Some things are best left to be revealed over time, allowing others to savor the process of getting to know you. Now it's time to reflect. Have you been an open book, or have you left room for curiosity? What's one thing about you that others might find intriguing if you shared it more thoughtfully? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this idea of cultivating mystery resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up to let me know you're enjoying these insights. Each interaction builds a community of thoughtful, intentional individuals striving for better connections. 9. Cultivating exclusivity. Think about the allure of something rare, a limited edition item, a secret recipe, or an exclusive event. Their rarity isn't just appealing, it's magnetic. Why? Because exclusivity signals value. It tells us that not everyone has access, and that makes it even more desirable. Now imagine being that rare and valued presence in someone's life. Cultivating exclusivity is about showing others that your time, energy, and attention are privileges, not entitlements. It's about setting boundaries and making it clear that your presence is something to be appreciated. Far from being manipulative, this approach is rooted in self-respect and authenticity, key principles of Stoicism. The idea here isn't to be cold or distant, but to be selective. When you're deliberate about how and with whom you spend your time, it sends a powerful message. You value yourself and you expect others to value you too. How do you put this into practice? Start by considering how often and in what ways you're accessible to others. If you're always available, dropping everything at a moment's notice, you risk being taken for granted. Instead, be intentional. Limit how often you say yes to plans. When someone invites you somewhere, don't automatically agree. Pause and consider whether it aligns with your priorities. Being selective also applies to how you share your thoughts and experiences. If you tell everyone everything, there's nothing left that feels uniquely yours. Instead, reserve parts of yourself for those who have earned your trust and respect. This creates a sense of intimacy and depth in your relationships, making them more meaningful. Exclusivity isn't about playing hard to get, it's about showing that your presence has value. Think about it. People line up for hours for a product that's only available in limited quantities. Why? Because scarcity makes it special. When your time and attention are treated the same way, others will begin to cherish the moments they have with you. Stoic philosophy reminds us to live with intention. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thoughts about others, unless you can do so for the common good." Cultivating exclusivity is an act of self-care. It ensures that you're spending your life in ways that truly matter, with people who genuinely appreciate your worth. But exclusivity also works both ways. Just as you protect your time and energy, show others that you value theirs. When you spend time with someone, be fully present. Listen deeply. Engage authentically. This balance between selectivity and attentiveness creates a powerful dynamic. They'll feel honored to have your attention and eager to spend more time with you. Reflect on how this principle applies to your own life. Are you freely giving your time and energy to everyone, or are you reserving it for those who truly deserve it? How might cultivating exclusivity transform your relationships? By embracing this approach, you become like a rare and cherished treasure, someone whose presence is not only noticed but deeply valued. And when you're not around, your absence will speak volumes. 10. The Reciprocity Effect. Think back to a time when someone did something unexpectedly kind for you. Maybe they offered a thoughtful compliment, lent a helping hand, or gave you a small gift. Did you feel a desire to return the favor? That feeling is the essence of the reciprocity effect, a psychological principle that says when someone does something for us, we're naturally inclined to reciprocate. Now imagine using this principle to create a deeper bond with someone, one that keeps you in their thoughts even when you're not around. Reciprocity isn't manipulation, it's a natural, human response that builds trust and connection. And when practiced with intention, it can make your presence unforgettable. How does it work? It starts with giving, not grand, elaborate gestures, but small, thoughtful acts of kindness that leave a meaningful impression. Perhaps you recommend a book that matches their interests or share a song that speaks to their current mood. Maybe you remember their favorite coffee order and surprise them with it during a busy week. These simple gestures aren't just acts of generosity, they're seeds of connection. When you give something meaningful, you create a subtle, emotional bond. The other person feels seen and appreciated, and this often sparks a desire to give something in return. It might not be immediate, and it might not be material. It could be as simple as a heartfelt conversation or a return of the thoughtfulness you've shown. The key to mastering the reciprocity effect is authenticity. The Stoics emphasize that our actions should align with virtue and sincerity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last act of your life." This principle reminds us that true generosity comes from a place of integrity, not from an expectation of reward. It's also important to give without overwhelming. The goal isn't to create a sense of obligation, but to inspire warmth and gratitude. For instance, if you notice someone is having a tough day, a small gesture like a kind message or a moment of your time can mean the world. It's about showing that you care without demanding anything in return. But what happens when the reciprocity effect takes hold? The other person begins to associate you with positive emotions, gratitude, joy, comfort. Over time, this emotional anchor strengthens, and even when you're not around, those feelings linger. They'll think of you when they hear that song, sip that coffee, or read that book, and in those moments, your connection deepens. Reciprocity also fosters mutual appreciation. When someone reciprocates your kindness, they too feel more invested in the relationship. It becomes a cycle of giving and receiving, each act reinforcing the bond between you. This is how strong, lasting relationships are built, not through grand displays, but through a steady exchange of thoughtfulness and care. As you practice this principle, remember to balance giving with self-respect. Stoicism teaches us to act with wisdom, ensuring that our efforts are meaningful and not squandered. Give thoughtfully to those who value your presence and contribute to your growth. Take a moment to reflect. What's one small, meaningful gesture you could offer to someone you care about today? How might it deepen your connection and leave a lasting impression? 11. Emotional roller coasters. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's often the emotional highs and lows that linger in our memories. Think about the most thrilling ride at an amusement park, a roller coaster. What makes it so unforgettable isn't just the exhilarating climb or the breathtaking drop, it's the contrast between the two. Relationships, too, are enriched by emotional variety. It's this dynamic interplay that keeps connections alive and makes your presence unforgettable. The principle of emotional roller coasters isn't about creating unnecessary drama or instability. It's about crafting meaningful moments that resonate deeply, leaving others eager to experience more. When every interaction feels the same, the connection can become flat and predictable. By introducing a mix of emotions, joy, surprise, warmth, reflection, you create a rich tapestry of experiences that stays with them long after you've gone. How does this work in practice? Imagine one day you're sharing laughter and lighthearted stories, making them feel on top of the world. The next, you're a little quieter, offering thoughtful insights or engaging in a deeper, more reflective conversation. This shift doesn't just keep them engaged, it makes them appreciate the range of emotions you bring into their life. The Stoics understood the importance of balance in all things. Seneca observed, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." By introducing emotional variety, you bring depth and authenticity to your relationships. It shows that you're not one-dimensional, you're a complex, evolving individual, and that complexity is captivating. Consider the impact of surprise in emotional roller coasters. Imagine surprising someone with a kind gesture when they least expect it, a note of encouragement on a tough day, or an invitation to share a moment of joy. Then, allow for a pause. Give them space to reflect on the connection, to miss the warmth you brought. This balance of give and retreat creates a rhythm that feels natural and compelling. It's also important to be intentional about the emotions you evoke. If you're constantly creating highs, they may come to expect it, and the effect diminishes. Similarly, if you lean too much into the lows, the connection may feel heavy or strained. The goal is to create a dynamic balance that feels authentic and meaningful. But emotional roller coasters are not about manipulation, they're about creating moments that matter. Each high should feel genuine, and each low should invite reflection, not uncertainty. By guiding this emotional journey, you help others see the value of your presence in their lives, not just as a source of joy, but as someone who brings depth and meaning. The beauty of this principle is that it works both ways. Just as you create emotional highs and lows for others, you also experience the richness of the connection. You're not performing, you're engaging fully, bringing your authentic self to each interaction. Take a moment to think about your recent interactions. Have they been consistent and predictable, or have you introduced moments of surprise and reflection? What's one way you could create a memorable emotional experience for someone you care about? By mastering the art of emotional roller coasters, you ensure that your presence is never forgotten. When you're there, you're fully felt. And when you're not, your absence leaves a space that others can't help but notice. Next, we'll delve into the power of leaving a lasting impression, how to make every encounter resonate long after it's over. Prepare to discover how to ensure you're truly unforgettable. 12. Leaving a lasting impression. Have you ever met someone who, long after they've left the room, still lingers in your thoughts? Perhaps it was something they said, the way they made you feel, or a certain energy they brought to the moment. That is the power of leaving a lasting impression, a practice that ensures your presence is remembered and your absence is felt. Leaving a lasting impression isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or demanding attention. It's about creating moments that resonate, moments that others carry with them. As Maya Angelou wisely said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." How do you create these unforgettable moments? Start by being intentional in your interactions. Every conversation, every gesture, every shared experience is an opportunity to leave behind a piece of yourself. It could be as simple as a heartfelt compliment that speaks to someone's core, or as profound as sharing a perspective that changes how they see the world. The key is to focus on connection rather than performance. When you're fully present, listening with genuine curiosity and responding with thoughtfulness, You make others feel seen and valued. That feeling stays with them. It's not about dazzling them with grandeur. It's about touching something real and human. Take, for example, the way you say goodbye. Instead of a rushed farewell, take an extra moment to express your gratitude for the time spent together or to share a meaningful thought. That small act can turn an ordinary goodbye into a memory. The Stoics teach us to act with purpose and integrity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This principle applies to leaving an impression. Instead of trying to craft a moment, be the person who naturally creates them through kindness, wisdom, and authenticity. A lasting impression is also about consistency. While surprise and novelty are important, it's the reliability of your character that truly cements your place in someone's memory. When your words align with your actions, and when your presence consistently brings value, people will remember you as someone they trust and admire. But don't mistake a lasting impression for the need to be perfect. Sometimes vulnerability and honesty leave the deepest marks. Sharing your challenges or admitting your mistakes can make you relatable and real, deepening the connection you share with others. Consider the power of storytelling in leaving an impression. A personal story that reveals your values, passions, or unique perspective can linger in someone's mind for days, weeks, or even years. When you share your story thoughtfully, you invite others into your world, creating a bond that lasts. Take a moment to reflect. What is the impression you want to leave behind? How do you want others to feel after they've spent time with you? These questions are essential because the way you make others feel is the legacy you leave behind. When you master the art of leaving a lasting impression, you become unforgettable, not because you tried to be, but because you brought something genuine and valuable to every interaction. Whether it's through a kind word, a meaningful gesture, or a shared moment of understanding, you'll find that your presence echoes long after you're gone. This is the culmination of the journey we've explored together. Each of the strategies, silence, rarity, mystery, and more, leads to this ultimate goal, becoming someone who is not just remembered, but truly missed. Thank you for walking this path of discovery with me. If this journey has resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on how you can apply these principles in your life. Share your thoughts in the comments, give this video a thumbs up if it's inspired you, and subscribe for more insights on how to cultivate meaningful connections. Here's to becoming the unforgettable presence in someone's life. May your actions echo with intention, and may your absence always be felt in the best way. Thank you for watching, and may your journey be filled with connection, purpose, and authenticity.